Okay, so why color wiggle? Well, wiggle's great, right? You can take a solid and you can just go to position and you can just say wiggle, 30 frames per second and wiggle it 50 pixels, and it's pretty straightforward. It will, So here you can see that it moves 30 frames per second and it moves 50 pixels. It's pretty much what you would expect, and it's controllable. So if you wanted to go 250 pixels, then again, you just change it and it moves 200 it wiggles around 250 pixels. The problem is that when you try to do this with color, so I'm going to go ahead and put a fill here, and I'm going to add an expression to color, and I just say wiggle 30 frames per second, and say let's say I wanted to wiggle just a little bit, so I'm just going to do like say 1, and I don't know what 1 is really. Is it one red, 1 green, 1 blue? And well, that's the problem, that the color is actually an array of colors, and it's an RGB color, so you can't even just say, for example, wiggle the hue or wiggle the saturation or even just wiggle the brightness without writing a very complicated expression. So here what happens is, notice how it's like just basically just randomly flashing colors, and it's really hard to control how to control those colors. Say, for example, if I go here and say 100, again, just seems like another random set of colors. So the reason color wiggle exists is so that you can actually have a more artist-friendly way of wiggling the colors. So how do you do that? Well, you then go under Effect, Row Byte, Color Wiggle, and right when you apply it first, you'll see that it's got a gradient from blue to red. And obviously the median color here is purple. But if I scroll around, you can see now that it's just wiggling between blue and red, which gives you that purple in between. And of course, you have the 2 settings for wiggle, which are frequency and amplitude, which are very easy to set. And of course, here, this is something very familiar to any After Effects artist. You want to add a color, you just click there, and then you just double click here to change the color that you want that to be. And you can basically add as many colors in whatever order that you want. So now automatically it's going to wiggle just between all those colors, setting the amplitude and frequency. If you want to visualize how all the colors are changing over time, you can just twirl down and reveal the color out, which is what you would, for example, link to if you were, say, using this to drive colors in a different effect. And you'll see that there's an expression that's written there. For this to be working in real time, you want to leave that expression there. But if you click on this little icon here, it'll show you what the result of that output is, so you can see how the colors are wiggling, which you can change, of course, now by changing the seed. So here it is 988, so you can just change that, and you can see how changing the seed will then change the output here for you. Now, when you duplicate the wiggle effect, by the way, you should not delete this expression, but again, you can actually link to this color out from a different expression, so that color wiggle can drive a wiggled color in any other effect or any other place in After Effects. Then if you duplicate the effect, you'll see that the seed stays the same. But if you apply a new effect, it'll give you a new seed. So you can actually have 2 different, or whatever, has many different sources of wiggled color with different frequency and amplitude that you want. So pretty straightforward, but just figured I would give you this walkthrough so you can get familiar with what the options are and how to control it. And hope you enjoy wiggling, because now it's very easy to wiggle color in After Effects.